All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we are going deep on, well, I think we can all agree, a pretty iconic album, Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everyone knows this is a best-selling album, but we're going to kind of go further with it and look at how it really changed music and entertainment. It's like a case study almost,
Yeah.
with some music industry analysis thrown in there, just for fun.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah, Thriller, it wasn't just a bunch of songs. It really was like a turning point.
Right. To really get into this, we've got some pretty amazing sources.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've got books that take us behind the scenes, articles that give us the inside scoop on the music industry at the time,
Nice.
and even some stuff from Michael Jackson himself.
Wow, that's great.
So our mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to figure out how Michael Jackson, especially with that Thriller music video,
Yes.
changed what entertainment could be.
Right, we're ready to dissect a revolution.
Okay, but before we get to the revolution, let's rewind a bit. What were those early days like for Michael? That foundation for the king of pop.
Well, it all starts with some pretty intense training under his father, Joe Jackson, right in their family home. Like, their house was a music academy.
Really?
Joe Jackson was demanding rehearsals every day at 4:30.
4:30. Every day.
Yep.
Sharp.
Wow. I mean, after school and everything, that's some serious pressure.
Oh, absolutely. Joe was determined to see his sons succeed. He wanted them to escape, as he put it, a life of factory work.
Yeah.
And I think you can really see that drive, that hunger,
Yeah.
reflected in Michael's work ethic later on.
And that drive is definitely what caught the eye of, well, Gladys Knight. Talk about a discovery.
It is. She saw something special in young Michael and the Jackson 5, and that's where their Motown story begins. But it wasn't all perfect, was it?
Not exactly. I mean, those contract issues are... It's hard to believe that Joe Jackson didn't even have a lawyer when they were negotiating those early contracts.
Yeah.
That's going up against a giant. That's a really good point. Back then, the music industry, especially a powerhouse like Motown,
Right.
held so much power. Even someone as talented as the Jackson 5, they didn't really have the resources to fight for what was fair.
And it went beyond just the contracts, didn't it? Motown, they had a whole plan for their artists.
Yeah.
Our sources call it a Hollywood strategy. They wanted to use groups like the Jackson 5 to achieve their ambitions beyond just music.
That's right. Think about it. Motown wanted their artists in movies, on TV, magazine covers.
The whole package.
It was about creating stars who could conquer Hollywood, not just the radio.
So was that strategy, was that at odds with what young Michael Jackson wanted?
That's a really interesting question to consider.
Right.
You've got this machine at Motown churning out all these hits, but then you've got this creative powerhouse in Michael who was already showing he wanted more control, more freedom.
And that desire for control, that becomes even more clear as Michael starts to go solo, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't all easy, though.
Yeah. No, not at all. There was a lot of tension within the Jackson 5. Michael's desire to express himself was clashing with the group.
Yeah, it's like he was outgrowing the whole one for all for one.
Yeah.
He was becoming this singular force.
Right, ready to just explode.
And then you add in those personal challenges he had during that time.
Wow, yeah.
The Pepsi commercial set accident, the burns, the introduction to painkillers.
Right.
That just adds another layer of complexity to his life and his music.
It does. It feels like a turning point.
It does.
A darker turn in his story.
Yeah, those experiences, those struggles, I mean, they really are all woven into who Michael Jackson was.
Absolutely. And you can hear it all in his music. Themes of isolation, pain, vulnerability.
Yeah.
They all start to emerge in his songwriting.
Okay, but before we go there, let's talk about the era that really made his solo career, his transformation into the king of pop,
Okay.
Off the Wall. That first solo album with Quincy Jones producing.
Yeah, Off the Wall was huge. You could hear Michael's musicality evolving. That blend of pop, funk, rock, even a touch of disco. It was so fresh.
Yeah, it was undeniably Michael.
Yeah.
And then Thriller just takes it up another level. And we're not just talking talent here. It was real dedication and effort. Like he was recording in fragments, finding inspiration in a parking lot.
Wow.
This album was so focused.
It was. And the stories from those recording sessions are legendary. You know about Quincy Jones failing the hand clap test during Billie Jean?
Okay, you have to tell me about this hand clap test.
All right, so picture this. They're recording Billie Jean, and there's this part with hand claps. Simple, right? But it adds so much to the groove.
Yeah.
Quincy Jones decides to join in on the hand claps.
Oh, I can just see him getting in there.
Oh, yeah, totally. But he hits his wrist wrong, and his Rolex goes flying across the floor.
Oh, no.
And Louis Johnson, the bass player, walks in at that exact moment and jokes, "You're out, Quincy. You failed the hand claps."
That's hilarious. But it shows you the vibe of those sessions. It's all about the music, but there's fun in there, you know? You can hear it in the final product.
You can. And that dedication, that attention to detail, it paid off big time.
Thriller was more than a hit. It was a masterpiece.
It was.
And that brings us to, well, what a lot of people consider the turning point.
Yeah.
The Thriller music video. A short film, really. They weren't promoting a song. They were creating a whole spectacle.
Right. That was John Branca's vision. He was Michael's lawyer at the time, and he was thinking way beyond MTV. He wanted to make a statement, something big.
Yeah.
And with John Landis directing, that blend of horror and dance, oh man, it just captured everyone's imagination.
It's amazing that MTV, who didn't usually pay for music videos back then, helped finance the making of Thriller.
Right. It shows how powerful this project was. MTV knew it was more than just a music video. It was like a cultural event.
It changed everything.
It redefined what a music video could be, like a mini movie. And it opened the door for other artists to do the same. Thriller changed the game for everyone.
It wasn't just about the music, though.
Right.
Michael's fashion, his image, the way he presented himself.
Oh, yeah.
It was all part of the show.
Absolutely. Those clothes, they were part of the performance.
Yeah.
That white military jacket, the red leather, the single glove, the shoes.
Oh, so iconic.
All chosen to tell a story, make a statement.
And he even patented those leaning shoes.
Right. That's thinking, or should I say, leaning outside the box.
Yeah. He understood how image could amplify his music.
He did.
And solidify his place in pop culture.
Pure genius.
But, of course, with that level of fame comes, well, some challenges.
Yeah.
The constant media attention, the scrutiny, that's a tough side of celebrity.
That's the dark side of fame. All those allegations and rumors were always around him.
It's impossible to ignore how that must have affected him.
It is. And Thriller, it's still the best-selling album of all time.
Yeah, wow.
That's a real testament to his impact.
It is. All those awards, inductions into the halls of fame, that legacy is undeniable.
Michael Jackson, he changed how we experience music, how we dance, everything.
So what does this all mean? Thriller wasn't just an album or music video, it was a cultural phenomenon.
Right.
It changed how we see the relationship between music and visual entertainment.
It did.
It pushed the boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's still inspiring artists today.
It is. Michael Jackson, with all his creativity, his attention to detail, he set a whole new standard for pop stars.
And now, for all of you listening out there, we want to leave you with something to think about.
Yeah.
It's a question that comes up a lot with Michael Jackson. And it's a question with no easy answers.
Right. Even with all the controversy, with everything that happened in his personal life, is it possible to separate the artist from the art?
That's a tough one.
It is. Can you appreciate the music while acknowledging the difficult parts of his life?
That's for everyone to decide for themselves, I think.
Yeah, and it leads to another big question.
Right.
What will Michael Jackson's legacy be? How will we remember him?
Those are big questions.
They are. Will it be for his talent, for what he gave to music? Or will it be the controversy?
That's a lot to think about.
It is. But one thing's for sure, Michael Jackson, he left his mark on the world.
He did. And that's a good place to stop for now. In part 2, we'll dive deeper into the cultural impact of Thriller, how it transformed music videos and entertainment as a whole.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
It's wild to think about how groundbreaking Thriller really was. I mean, it's still the best-selling album of all time.
Yeah, that's pretty hard to beat.
Right. What do you think made it such a success?
We can't ignore the music scene back then, you know, the early 80s. Disco was fading out, and you had this new wave of artists using all these synthesizers.
Yeah, drum machines, all that.
Exactly. Michael and Quincy Jones, they were smart. They saw that shift happening, and they created an album that felt, I don't know, both fresh and familiar.
It did. It was like a perfect blend.
Yeah.
Thriller blended pop, funk, rock, even some soul in there. It had something for everyone.
And that's how you reach a wide audience.
Right.
And speaking of reaching a wide audience, we have to talk about MTV.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, Thriller wasn't just about listening to music. It was a visual experience.
Yeah.
Those music videos, Thriller, Billie Jean.
So good.
It changed everything.
They did. MTV was still pretty new then, and Thriller, it really helped make music videos huge.
Yeah.
It showed everyone that videos, they could be more than just, ads for your music.
Right.
They could be stories, whole worlds, ways to really connect with people.
Okay, let's talk about Michael himself for a second. He was notoriously private,
Yeah, he was.
but our sources, they give us some insight into what he was like.
Uh-huh. What stands out to you?
I'd say it's that attention to detail, it's incredible.
Oh,
From
yeah.
those childhood rehearsals to making Thriller, he was involved in every single part of it.
He was a total perfectionist.
He was, but it wasn't just the music. The stage shows, the costumes, his whole image.
It's true. It was all so carefully thought out.
It was. But amidst all that, you can still see a sense of playfulness,
Yeah.
almost a childlike wonder, in the music, in the performances.
You can. Like those dance moves, the rune walk.
Yeah.
He just radiated joy when he was on stage.
Right. But it was more than just fun.
Oh, for sure.
He was technical brilliance, too.
It was. The audience felt that intensity and that joy all at once.
That was part of his magic, wasn't it?
It was.
All that talent, the drive, but also that vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's what resonated with people.
It did. Makes you wonder how those two sides coexisted, you know?
Right.
All that pressure, the media always watching.
Yeah, that can't be easy.
Fame, it's a double-edged sword.
That's a good way to put it.
All that success. But it can be so isolating, too.
And don't forget, he had to deal with that from such a young age.
No.
Being famous as a child, that definitely shaped him.
It did. You can't understand Michael Jackson without thinking about all that, about his personal life.
Yeah.
The controversies, the allegations.
Yeah, it's all part of his story.
It is, even if it's hard to reconcile with the music.
It brings us back to that question we asked earlier.
Uh-huh.
How do we engage with art when the artist's personal life is so controversial?
It's tough. There's no easy answer.
No, there isn't.
It's a conversation worth having, though.
It is.
Art's powerful, but it's also personal.
Yeah.
Each of us has to figure this out on our own.
Yeah, I think it's about finding that balance,
Right.
appreciating the art for what it is, but also understanding where it came from.
Exactly. I think that's a great place to leave it for now.
Yeah.
Let's encourage everyone listening to keep exploring Michael Jackson's legacy.
Uh-huh.
Think about the complexities and figure out what they think.
Thriller wasn't just an album.
No, it wasn't.
It was a cultural moment.
Yeah.
It made us talk, it pushed the boundaries, and we're still talking about it now.
We are, and that's what makes it so interesting to explore, to dive into all those layers, the artistry, the impact.
It's a journey for sure.
It is challenging, but so rewarding.
When you think about it, it's amazing how Thriller just changed everything. Not just for music videos, but for how we see entertainment as a whole.
Right.
Like back then, music videos, they were just starting out.
Mm-hmm.
MTV had only launched a couple years before.
Yeah,
Most musicians, they just saw videos as a way to get on TV.
exactly. Just promotion.
But Michael and his team, they had a bigger idea.
They did. They saw that videos, they could be more.
Yeah.
They could tell stories, build worlds, connect with people in a way that music alone couldn't.
And they nailed it. Thriller wasn't just a video, it was a whole event.
Oh, yeah.
People tuned in just to see what Michael would do.
It was a phenomenon.
What do you think made it so groundbreaking?
It wasn't just the scale, you know, the special effects and all that.
Right.
It was that everything was so carefully done, every detail, it all worked together to create a story, a feeling.
Yeah.
The dancing, the costumes, the makeup, even the lighting, it all added to the story.
It was like music, dance, and film all mixed together.
Yeah.
And it set a whole new standard for music videos.
It did. It's no surprise that the MTV Video Music Awards became so big after Thriller.
It's like Michael raised the bar and everyone else had to catch up.
Exactly. Suddenly, music videos, they weren't just an extra thing. They were a crucial part of an artist's image, their brand.
It's so cool how you can see all those early influences
Yeah.
in Thriller, you know?
Yeah.
Like his childhood, the rehearsals with his father,
Oh, that hard
that work ethic, understanding how to put on a show. It's all there in Thriller.
You can even see the Motown influence, that mix of pop and soul.
Yeah, he took those lessons and just went beyond.
He was always learning, pushing boundaries, trying new things.
He never wanted to just repeat himself.
Never. He was a true innovator.
He was. His impact is just massive. you know?
It is.
So as we wrap up our deep dive on Thriller, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I think it's about the power of creativity.
Mm-hmm.
How music and art, they can connect us on a deep level.
Oh.
Even with all the controversy, all the struggles, there's still beauty there.
It's a story that makes us ask questions, think about complex things, but ultimately it's about celebrating what humans can create.
It is.
Well,
That's what makes Thriller and Michael Jackson himself so fascinating to talk about.
Well, thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Boyfriend.